IWLCA has two proposals in front of the NCAA to stem early recruiting. The first proposal would amend the recruiting calendar and make distinctions between when coaches are permitted to recruit at high school events as opposed to any type of event. It would also institute a quote-unquote dead period for the 2 weeks in August and the time surrounding national holidays. The second proposal seeks to make September 1st of the junior year as the initial contact date for all communications with school, players, and their families. Right now, there can be communication before that as long as it's initiated by the player or the player's family. So joining us now to talk about the early recruiting is Kim Simons Tortolani. She's a former coach of the US U19 women's team and also from Georgetown.
Yeah, she wrote a blog for the IWLCA.org criticizing early recruiting and explaining really why she feels it's so important for the NCAA to adopt the new proposals.
If you follow lacrosse people on social media, you likely saw Kim's passionate article already today as it made the rounds very quickly throughout the afternoon. And if you want to read Kim's article, you can see it, but she joins us now to talk more about that. Kim, just first off, we know you're not a big fan of it. What's the biggest thing that you find so wrong with the early recruiting that's going on right now?
Well, I think that for everyone who's involved in the sport of lacrosse, and many sports, to be honest, there's this sense that it's all just too much. Things continue to happen sooner. And as I point out in the article, that the early recruiting is kind of the, I think the cog in the wheel that starts all of this in motion, which, as I described, starts the insanity, which, can go back to kids and 6- and 7-year-old children that are playing sports, one sport all year round, 5 or 6 days a week. And there's really no end point to it. The recruiting is kind of the end point for a lot of parents and a lot of kids and people that are playing. And unfortunately, there really doesn't seem to be a solution to how to slow it down and to potentially make it so that it's more reasonable for the student athletes and for their families. And for me, as someone who's been involved at all different levels, I really feel like it's the NCAA's responsibility, and they may be the only way to actually start to slow things down and to bring some sanity back into our sport.
Kim, I read your article earlier today. Again, love the passion behind it. Explain to the folks watching at home, really, how you feel this early recruiting hurts the sport.
Well, I just feel like I see it at all levels. Obviously, I coached in college and recruited college athletes. I've been a high school coach. I've coached at U19. And now I'm a parent. I'm a parent of a 14-year-old. And so I have firsthand experience of what a 14-year-old is like. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of many individuals and experts, a 14-year-old probably isn't prepared to make this kind of decision. And so I feel like I just am continually surrounded by people who are upset by where our sport is and what it means to play youth lacrosse anymore. It's just such a huge commitment, and it's become an all or nothing proposition. And again, I really feel like it's generated by this notion of early recruiting that keeps getting earlier and earlier. A 14-year-olds being committed to college. If you said that to somebody who's not involved in sports, they would look at you like you had 3 heads. You can't even explain it to most people who aren't involved in youth sports. But for those of us who are involved in it, it's almost like you're like, it's just one more story of where we've ended up.
So you've mentioned you'd like to see the NCAA step in and take a position on this and create some type of rule. But why can't the coaches just decide to do this themselves and make their own rule?
Well, wouldn't that be nice? We all know that, again, there are so many, as I explained to someone recently, it's almost like trying to fix healthcare. There's so many factors in it. There's so many issues in it. There's so many reasons why it's broken. So, to fix it sometimes feels completely overwhelming. And I feel like that's where we are, with our sport and with this early recruiting. And I know that we'd love to say that the college coaches can fix it on their own. But as I mentioned in my article, since the beginning of time, there's always going to be college coaches and club coaches and student athletes and their families that are trying to get around the system to push whatever they're whatever they're trying to achieve. And so this is a case where over 85% of the Division I college coaches are supporting this proposal. And I can tell you, in the 10 years I was a Division I coach, there was very few situations where college coaches agreed on anything in terms of 85% of the Coaches Association. So this is something that the college coaches, as well as the lacrosse community, are crying out for. They're asking for the help of the NCAA. All of us feel that are involved at all levels that something needs to change. And while it'd be great to say the college coaches can do that on their own, that's not realistic.
All right, Kim, we really appreciate the time. You can, of course, read Kim's article on IWLCA.org. You can also go to the site for the Intercollegiate Women's Lacrosse Coaches Association to petition the NCAA for those proposals as well. Kim, really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you.